Here on KTN News. Thank you for staying with us. All right, now let's get to the conversation. I'm joined by Tony Ndungu, who is the CEO Kitabu. Welcome.
Yeah, asante sana.
And we are going to have a conversation on accelerators, startups, and why Kenya is the tech hub of East Africa. And we are going to look at some of the things that you as a startup need to do in order for you to make sure that at least you are on the right path to success. All right. Now, Tony, let us just get right into the conversation. When you speak about accelerators, what do we exactly mean?
It's what the word means, accelerate. It's a runway. When you think of an aircraft trying to take off, an accelerator is basically a smooth part that allows the runway, the plane to accelerate and then take off. Accelerators are places where the right resources, the right people, capital in some cases, and also the right community is brought together to help somebody with a good idea, scale it up, to grow it, to understand if it's a good product market fit. And so when you have an accelerator, you have essentially a safe space. It's a bubble. It's like the way when a woman is pregnant, it's a safe space for a baby to develop before the baby is born. Okay. So an accelerator is really pregnancy in its allowing a startup to grow in its infancy before it's born into the marketplace where hopefully it thrives. Yeah.
And also now, when you have a startup, is it mandatory for you to have an accelerator, or you can do it by yourself?
No, you could do it. You could do it by yourself. I have the good fortune of having started an accelerator when I was younger, the NILAB, which my friend Sam Gishuru came and took over for me after close to 3.5 years. Then I started Kitabu. I did not take Kitabu to an accelerator. I did it by myself for a period. Then after a couple of years, I took it into an accelerator. We got a few things done. I brought it out. It has scaled for a couple of years. And now I've started a new company called Tribe. And that doesn't need an accelerator because I've got experience. What accelerators do is they give you a place to learn what essentially education system wouldn't teach you, our universities don't teach you. It's not building a business is not something you learn in school. It's something you learn on the street. And it allows you to be able to learn on the street in a safe space. Yeah.
All right, let's move on and look at Kenya as the tech hub.
Right.
First of all, how are we embracing the tech world in the country as at the moment?
I think we are easily the best, second best, I would say, in the continent. Nigeria, we have to give props to Nigerians. They're doing a very good job. So I think Nigeria and Kenya are neck and neck trying to build products. Nigeria obviously has a very large population. Kenya not so much, but we've been doing a good job of getting the right technology, solving the right problems, getting the right people on board, training our teams. You saw Microsoft, Google, and all these companies come here, pick up a big number of people, train them, elevate them. It's unfortunate that the world went where it went and a lot of people did lose their jobs, but that training is not something you're going to get in school. So we do have a good environment. The world is struggling generally in terms of financial capacity, and there are many layoffs and people are leaving these technology jobs, but the opportunity still exists for many of the people in these tech jobs to come and start companies that solve problems for people in the country. There are a few barriers, obviously, that a lot of people need to help us work through, but still, everything all in all, it's on an up and up kind of situation. There's room for people to be creative. There's room for people to try and test, and there's customers that are willing to test out products, which makes Kenya such a good place to try out something new.
Even as we speak about Kenya, such a good place to come and try out and invest. Now, when we look at where we are going in terms of embracing technology, many companies right now are trying to go even when someone wants to start a company, they're thinking, okay, tech. Many of the ideas that come to people is tech. Now, going forward, what are we looking at in terms of accelerators supporting even a person who wants to start a tech business?
I think one of the things there's two things we need to think about, and I think accelerators had their time. I'm not saying they don't have their time right now, but in the late 2000s, so 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 11, 12, there was big room for accelerators then. And now it's not that there's no room for them, there is a lot of room for them, but I think it's time for startups to start mentoring the next generation of founders, right? And accelerators do provide a safe space for people who have nowhere to find ideas from or reference solutions from. But there's a collaboration that needs to happen between accelerators and current startups and whatever you become after a startup. Whether you've raised seed capital, Series A, which is your first big venture capital investment, B, C, or D, whatever. There's a space for people to come and pick up young people and put them into their companies. I was with Kitabu, you may know him from Market Force, and they have been doing a phenomenal job. It's specifically because he's such a young man, it makes sense for him to start bringing in other young men and women from university, for example, to see how he runs his business, and so many other companies like that. Then what accelerators would do is then they'd come and provide a good scaffold, like a good building structure for these people to be able to formalize their ideas and turn them into businesses. But they have the experience of sitting next to corporate companies and these startups that are succeeding to learn how to do the ropes. We did accelerators as a bridge between my idea and the market and the business case and the market product fit. But now there's a lot of businesses that have created that bridge. So I think accelerators just come and support the spaces that are there in that idea to market path.
All right, now let's look at your product, Kitabu, because we cannot go without speaking about it, because it's a platform where educators come to get information and disperse it to the students.
Right.
All right, so let us say, for example, you wanted to include the services of an accelerator there.
Right.
Where would an accelerator come in?
So you're right. Kitabu, let me give you a very practical example of where it comes in. So Kitabu has an app called Hodari. We have got apps for teachers, for students, and for parents. The one for teachers is called Hodari. Hodari helps teachers who are teaching CBC find a mobile application they can download on the Play Store, and on it they can be able to find other teachers who are teaching CBC, and they can be able to watch video content created by these teachers. They can be able to run their whole class digitally on Hodari. So that's assessments, which student has come. Basically, whatever the rubrics book teachers are required to mark in class does, you can do it on a mobile app, and you can send this information to parents, to teachers, to the school. We've basically taken all the analog and put it on a mobile device. There is opportunity for teachers, if they want to learn from partners like Instill Education, and Teach for Kenya, for example, or anyone else, to come onto Hodari, and they will find videos, training videos on how to teach grade 1 CBC in English, or how to teach grade 1 or grade 5 or grade 8 CBC math. Whatever it is you want to teach, you can be able to find it on the application from third parties that you would not necessarily have been able to engage with. That's how technology basically provides an entry point for other partners. And so when you look at what accelerators can be able to do for teachers, for people who are working in technology industries, for companies like Kitabu, we can onboard accelerators to help teachers who have ideas on how to help kids in their schools. Then this can become a business, but they don't know where to get that information from, because they're teaching. They need to put food on the table.
Yes.
So that's where accelerators come. They provide digital content. A teacher at the comfort of their home can be able to take Hodari, flip it open, watch a video on how to create a product to sell, or some content for students, or workbooks for kids. That's the power of digital scaling. You build one thing and it serves everyone. And that's what we're doing with Hodari.
All right, and you spoke about you being in NILAB and working there for some time. All right, now, what are some of the gaps when it comes to trying to establish a whole, for example, like Kitabu, and you want it to be spread across the country, and even be known even outside the country? What are some of the gaps that people usually miss when it comes to this?
They're divided into 3 groups. When I started the NILAB with a gentleman called Bart Lacroix from the Netherlands, what we were looking for was, how do we connect entrepreneurs with ideas to essentially solutions, the people who need the solution. So getting the problem solver and the problem to come together. And the 3 things that stood out is, number 1, you need network. You need to know people. Just the network is, if you sit at home and you're working on your computer from the house, because chances are you don't have an office, building a network is really 90% of building a business.
Yes.
Where do we get that network from? Number 2 was influence. So I know the people. So now, an influence is something you create by getting to know the people, trust the people, they get to trust you, then you present your solution to them. That leads to influence. And once you have network and influence, you can get resources. And resources allow you to scale up from 1 guy to 2 people, from 2 people to 5, from 5 to an office. Once you have resources, it feeds back into the network. Now more people know you. The more people know you, the more influence you have. The more influence you have, the more resources you have. And this cycle goes round and round and round until you have a multi-billion-dollar or multi-billion-shilling business. It comes down to only those 3 things. Sometimes it's not even about how good your product is. Are you solving a problem? And do you have the right network, influence, and resources to be able to take that solution and scale it? And that's what a lot of young, predominantly, people starting businesses don't have because they are young. Their resources are limited to which school I went to, how many people I was with in university, and how much money my friends and parents have, right? But there are older people willing to put these resources into younger people. But how do I get to meet them, right? So I had a good, when I was much younger, I had the great fortune of sitting under Bob Colimo's feet for 6 months with 2 friends of mine. And we would meet every 6 weeks. And we were 4, myself, her, him, and Bob. And when we had conversations, it was like you're talking to an uncle, right? And he taught us a lot of things I know a Harvard graduate doesn't know. Because there's a difference between learning it in school and learning it when somebody's mentoring you.
Yes.
And those are the things that change our lives. Those are the things that change young people's lives. And that's the only way to really get people to move from the idea stage to the I can do it stage. By putting the right people in their circles and in their networks that allow them to see, I actually have an idea that can change, if not my country, the world, and I should try it. That's the power of accelerators. That's the power of relationships. That's the power of good networks. Network, influence, resource.
Now, we are winding up, and I would like you to just give me your parting shot in terms of a startup trying to look at accelerators, trying to see, okay, can they help me, or I can work it out myself? So just give us your parting shot as we wind up.
Get help. Get help. The most powerful businesses, people, solutions always have a help me mentality. If you try to go it alone, especially in an environment like a business environment, you will fail, not because your idea is bad, but because no one was built with everything inside them. Get help. It doesn't matter who you get help from. Go and find somebody to give you a hand, and they'll take you from one stone to the next, and then somebody else will take you from one stone to the next. The best attitude to have